90 minutes is all it took for Blake to be dealt her first loss in court.
Judge Lyman in New York ruled on the Wayfarer party's request to squash subpoenas.
When Blake Lively's PR team made 3 devastating decisions that turned the Justin Baldoni situation from a minor incident into a career-defining disaster.
Director of It Ends With Us says he can prove that he didn't sexually harass the actress and he didn't try to destroy her career.
Z-list actress Blake Lively is panicking.
The legal battle between Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni has taken a dramatic turn, with both sides escalating the conflict. Lively initially filed a massive $250 million lawsuit against Baldoni, accusing him of serious misconduct. In response, Baldoni fired back with a $400 million lawsuit of his own, and the situation quickly deteriorated. As the lawsuits piled up, so did the public disputes, and now, things are growing even more heated. Reynolds is reportedly furious with Baldoni, claiming that he's working behind the scenes to bring him down through multi-million-dollar lawsuits, PR crises, and shocking court rulings. The situation continues to intensify, and it's clear this legal war is far from over.
Well, at first, it was Blake Lively hitting Justin Baldoni with a wild $250 million lawsuit, accusing him of some serious misconduct. Then, Justin, not about to go down without a fight, came swinging with a bigger $400 million countersuit, accusing Blake of extortion and defamation. He wasn't just ready to play, but went all in on Blake. And now, after months of back and forth, it finally landed in court, setting up one of the wildest legal fights Hollywood has seen in a minute.
And certainly more, evidence will come to light and more information will come to light. And I think people will see it in a similar fashion.
From the very first moment the court session started, Justin's lawyer, Brian Friedman, came in ready to eat. Like, he wasn't just there to argue, he was there to destroy. And the way that Blake's legal team started scrambling was both entertaining and embarrassing. They were shook. You see, when Friedman said that he was gonna sue Blake into oblivion, well, based on how he handled court, he meant every word. Blake's lawyers were so rattled, they tried to shut him up with a gag order, basically wanting the judge to ban him from making public statements about the case.
Both sides have been fighting to control the narrative, but it seems Justin Baldoni currently has the upper hand. Recently, Blake Lively made a bold move, attempting to subpoena Wayfarer Studios, the company co-founded by Alone. She sought 2 years' worth of private information, claiming it was crucial for her case. However, the judge denied her request, stating it extended far beyond the time frame in which Lively claims Baldoni's alleged defamation campaign started. The court found no valid justification for such a broad and invasive request, marking a major setback for Lively's case.
Breaking news and a big loss in court for Team Delulu. Hello, my friend, Perez Hilton here, the queen of all media, the original influencer, and your #1 source for everything It Ends With Us saga. Literally minutes ago, Judge Lyman in New York ruled on the Wayfarer party's request to squash subpoenas, and they got a big win, not a unilateral win, because the goddess of gaslighting did score a narrow victory as well. I've got the judge's ruling, and let's go over it together. All right, Judge Lyman writes, Wayfarer Studios, LLC, Justin Baldoni, Jamie Heath, Steve Sarowitz, It Ends With Us Movie, LLC, Melissa Nathan, The Agency Group, and Jennifer Abel moved to squash subpoenas issued to cellular providers AT&T, Verizon, and T-Mobile by Blake Lively. For the reasons that follow, the motion is granted in part and denied in part.
Despite the judge's warning, Blake and her team
Despite the judge's warning, Blake Lively and her team tried again, modifying their subpoenas. However, the new requests were still deemed overly invasive. The judge rejected them again, emphasizing that Lively failed to justify why she needed such extensive private information. This marked another blow to Lively's case, highlighting the court's refusal to allow fishing expeditions into Baldoni's personal and professional life without strong legal justification.
Lively also argues that the Wayfarer parties lack standing to assert the privacy interest of non-parties. meaning those not directly being sued. So, the judge cites law, don't need to read all of the relevant court cases, and he rules as such, quote, "The subpoenas of the Wayfarer party's phone records, even as modified after the meet and confer, are overly intrusive and disproportionate to the needs of the case." The subpoenas request call and text logs between certain of the Wayfarer parties and any other phone number, in most cases from December 1st, 2022 to the present. This request implicates legitimate privacy interests. Even though Lively has narrowed her request to exclude the content of calls or messages, the phone records themselves would still contain sensitive information regarding which doctors, psychologists, or even acquaintances the Wayfarer parties spoke to and when. Lively has identified no means to segregate those numbers that may have some relevance to her case from those numbers that would have no relevance and would reveal sensitive personal information. Lively mainly argues that the subpoenas will help to identify the larger network of individuals who perpetuated a negative media campaign against her.
In an ironic twist, while Blake Lively has been fighting for access to Baldoni's private information, she has sought extra protection for her own privacy. Lively requested an increased protection order, instead of sticking with the standard one already agreed upon. Critics quickly noticed the hypocrisy, pointing out that she was demanding privacy for herself while attempting to invade Baldoni's personal life.
Because both teams agreed that some kind of a protective order would indeed be appropriate for this case to protect confidential information. Now, as we reported, Brian Friedman and Wayfarer wanted essentially a model protection order, which is indeed standard. It's a standard protection order. But on the 20th, which was I think last Friday, Blake's team filed for a slightly modified type of protection order that would include increased protections to third parties. Now, we covered this filing. I told you that essentially what was buried in it was what I would describe as the Taylor Swift clause. I'm just calling it the Taylor Swift clause, essentially allowing the respective lawyers to just deem anything that they want attorney's eyes only, right? So they're like, they get a document that, and they're just like, you know what, this one, you can see it, Brian, but it's attorney's eyes only. You can't show that to anybody else. So it's really important that you guys understand this differentiation. Like, we have to distinguish between the two, what a standard court protective order is and what Blake Lively's team is asking for, which is an attorney's eyes only designation. So the standard model one which is referred to as a model protective order, a court model protective order, is something that they had previously agreed to. It just means keeping some of the material that will come out through the course of a high-profile lawsuit away from the general public, most importantly because it's just irrelevant, stuff that has no bearing on the legal consequences of the case, but might unintentionally stir the public.
While Justin Baldoni has been winning in court, he's also faced attacks targeting his religion, sparking widespread public condemnation. This has only increased sympathy for him, with many rallying in support. As a result, public opinion seems to be shifting further in Baldoni's favor.
Justin and Colleen Hoover, the book's author, were both part of the Baha'i religion, and that's how he got the rights to turn the book into a movie. But that rumor turned out to be completely false. Colleen isn't part of the religion at all, and the deal actually happened through her literary agent. The article explores also how Justin's Baha'i faith might have played a role in how he ran the set. His religion encourages things like group prayers, hugging, and personal sharing, which might have clashed with Hollywood's strict professional environment, especially in wake of the Me Too movement. According to the article, that's like pretty much what they're trying to say, based on some of the interviews that are included within this article. The article states, over the past several weeks, The Hollywood Reporter has interviewed multiple friends and former colleagues of Baldoni, along with members of the Baha'i community, to piece together if and how this religion might have inadvertently contributed to the situation. Baldoni, whose Irish Catholic father and Ashkenazi mother
brother, both converted to the religion before he was born in California and raised in Oregon, has made no secret about his devotion to the Baha'i faith, which is based on notions of humanity, universalism, and gender equality. What's also clear from talking to people in his orbit is that Baldoni has his own unique way of communicating and behaving, much of it informed by the tenor of his religion.
Things aren't looking good for Blake Lively. Not only is she struggling in court, but she's also losing public support. In an attempt to turn things around, Lively has brought in Exia Deputy Chief Nick Shapiro as her PR crisis manager to help manage the escalating situation.
Continues to maintain that she is a victim and that Justin Baldoni is an abuser, a predator, words directly used by her team. Despite that, public perception is against the hair care professional. And the unliftable Blake Lively is taking steps to change that, hopefully. She's gonna try. Good luck to her. I don't know how that worked out for Amber Heard. I also don't know why Blake No Receipts Lively didn't do this sooner. A representative for the uncredited director of It Ends With Us has confirmed that she has hired a crisis PR expert, and one with very questionable experience and ties and opinions. According to Fake Lively's team, she is working with Nick Shapiro. He is the CIA's former deputy chief of staff and senior advisor to former director John Brennan.
This move clearly shows Lively recognizes the severity of the damage to her reputation. The big question now is whether Nick Shapiro can fix the situation, or if the damage is already beyond repair.
Telling them it's all a planted story just doesn't work. It's like telling someone the sky isn't blue when they're looking right at it, especially since it felt organic and the actions were still yours. You're blaming someone for showing the people the interviews that you did, that you were seen as rude. Second, it created what we call a credibility cascade. Every time someone new discovered the story, they weren't just seeing the original interviews anymore. They were seeing both the interviews and the attempted blame to cover it up.
Justin Baldoni isn't sitting idly by while Lively and her PR team work to salvage her image. He and his lawyer have been working tirelessly to refute her accusations, and so far, they've been successful. Recently, Baldoni released text messages and other key information that paint a very different picture from Lively's claims. These revelations have helped him regain support from fans, further strengthening his position in the ongoing battle.
Husband actor Ryan Reynolds and others claiming they defamed him, they tried to extort him, that essentially they weaponized false allegations and used their power and prestige to bully and intimidate him into giving Lively full control over the film and box him out. And he also sued the New York Times as well for publishing a bombshell article on Lively's complaint the day after she filed it, claiming the Times presented a completely one-sided narrative filled with factual inaccuracies, out of context messages and communications, that they did not do their proper due diligence. And most recently, we had a court hearing this past week where the judge had to work out the scheduling and procedure of the case, a trial currently set for March of 2026, but also he admonished and warned both sides, really the lawyers, to be very cautious about what public comments they make about this case, to not say anything that could potentially taint a future jury. And that's important because for Brian Friedman especially, this is Justin Baldoni's attorney, he has been fighting this in the public just as much as in legal filings, seemingly creating a website filled with extra correspondence, releasing behind-the-scenes footage, constantly talking about the case on podcasts and interviews. But I say all this to say, we want to do something right now that I think is very important in this case.
Not everyone is happy about Justin Baldoni's fight back, especially Ryan Reynolds, who is married to Blake Lively. Sources claim Reynolds is furious with Baldoni and has been working behind the scenes to damage his career. While the full extent of Reynolds' actions remains unclear, it's evident he's using his influence to put pressure on Baldoni. What started as a legal battle between Lively and Baldoni has now escalated into a full-blown Hollywood feud, involving major personal and professional stakes.
Ryan Reynolds is one of the wealthiest actors of all time, but now he could be using that money to go to war with Justin Baldoni. Ryan Reynolds has made a fortune outside of acting, making $280 million off the sale of Mint Mobile, $122 million off the sale of Aviation Gin. He also made $75 million from the Deadpool movies. For over a decade, he's been married to Blake Lively, who's currently going through a PR crisis. Blake Lively, after a 5-year break from acting, just had a massive hit with It Ends With Us, which made $326 million on a budget of $25 million. Despite the success, Blake Lively had a feud with the movie's director and also her co-star Justin Baldoni because he asked how much she weighed. It wasn't meant to be an insult, it was just that Justin Baldoni has a back issue and wasn't sure he could lift her for a scene he had to pick her up. That was just one of the countless fights the two actors had, to the point they hated each other and refused to do any marketing together. That's why many people believe Blake Lively will be fired from the planned sequel called It Starts With Us, which is based on the popular book which sold 1.8 million copies. The issue is Justin Baldoni and his studio don't have the rights to that book yet. So there are talks going on Ryan Reynolds might buy the rights to that book to kick Justin Baldoni out and keep Blake Lively in. So money matters, and with that I'm Charles Pearl. Please subscribe to learn something.
Looking back, it's clear this mess could have been avoided. Blake Lively's reputation was recovering after the backlash from It Ends With Us marketing, but when she accused Baldoni of launching a smear campaign, everything took a dramatic turn for the worse.
And if you look at the relevant articles at the time, meaning the ones that are highest in discussion, these things are about Blake Lively and about Ryan Reynolds and Lady Deadpool, about them, their fourth baby, rumors and more. And you start having discussion about It Ends With Us. Now, the second jump is more of the same between July 28th and August the 3rd, with both Blake Lively and Baldoni being mentioned, plus It Ends With Us. But you'll notice, it isn't negative about the two of them. They're talking about the movie, they're talking about some criticisms, but this comes up in a very positive way. Now here, at August 4th to the 10th, this is when the controversy starts kicking in. This is 100% Blake Lively, by the way, and you'll notice that substantial jump, 28 to 30 to 43. And this is where backlash and controversy start coming in, where August the 7th, for example, Blake Lively receives backlash for controversial September issue cover of Vogue, with people noting they're tired not just of Blake Lively, but Ryan Reynolds and their constant, shameless self-promotion. And interestingly, this is the first time you see anyone talk about controversy, but guess who shuts that down? Justin Baldoni. In fact, if you read the interview at the time, it's actually quite fascinating. Why? Because he goes out and he tries to say the nicest things about her, telling you 100% he would have never gone public with everything that happened if she wouldn't have gone out and tried to destroy.
Another reason people are turning against Blake Lively is her recent decisions during this crisis. She hired a highly controversial PR manager, raising serious questions about her strategy. Additionally, she's brought a new lawyer onto her legal team, further fueling public scrutiny.
Nick was one of a group of 51 former senior intelligence officials who signed the widely cited and subsequently criticized 2020 open letter stating that the Hunter Biden laptop has all the classic earmarks of a Russian information operation. If you are a friend of mine that works in media, DM me privately. Have you ever talked to this guy before? I've never even heard of him. Interesting choice. But the bigger picture is, as I shared with you earlier this week, the Duchess of Gaslighting knows that she needs help. Just this week, she hired a new lawyer to join her team that works at a different firm than her lead counsel, and now she's hired this crisis PR expert, alleged expert.
So, where does this feud go from here? Blake Lively is losing ground both legally and publicly. Her court losses, PR struggles, and controversial hires are only making things worse. On the flip side, Justin Baldoni has successfully defended himself, regained public support, and exposed damaging details about Lively's claims. Then there's Ryan Reynolds, who appears determined to take Baldoni down. Will he succeed, or will Baldoni come out of this even stronger? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Do you think Blake Lively can turn things around, or is this the beginning of the end for her reputation? As always, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss any updates. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.